I want to, go back a little bit more towards politics and talk about the presidential race and how it's shaping up. It's very interesting, too, to see the coverage of the Iowa straw poll. I would have thought that there would have been a lot more Herman Cain on the Sunday morning talk shows. Instead, the main focus was on Rick Perry and the fact that he didn't win rather than the guy who actually did win. In fact, I forget who in particular said this, but somebody basically said that they thought the reason that Herman Cain won was because the Florida delegates at the straw poll were so unhappy with all the candidates, I guess including Herman Cain, but they were so unhappy that they just registered a protest vote by voting for Herman Cain. Now, I don't know how, everybody in Florida managed to coordinate on this and agree that, hey, let's just send a big protest that we don't like anybody, and we'll just vote for the black guy. I mean, is that what people think? I mean, is that what whoever said it really thinks that they? I mean, how about maybe they just liked him, maybe they believed in him and they thought he'd be a good president. I don't know if you've ever seen Herman Cain speak in person. I've heard him speak several times in person, and he is the most charismatic speaker of all of the candidates. He is a great speaker, and he's got a good background. I mean, I actually think that he is very electable if he got the Republican nomination. I don't know why there's this foregone conclusion among the media that he's unelectable. Why is he unelectable? I mean, what? Is it because he's black he's unelectable? I mean, Obama's president, he's black, or, is it because he's never held elected office? I mean, that's probably a plus in this environment. In fact, what about Obama? I mean, Obama, he was a senator for one term. It's not like, that's it. That's all he was. He didn't even finish his full term. Yeah, he was a community activist, but what the hell does that mean? I mean, so he was a one-term senator and not even a full one term. He didn't even complete it. And so how much? I would much rather have Herman Cain's job background. And one of the reasons a lot of people like Mitt Romney is because he comes from the private sector. But he comes from Wall Street. I mean, it's a lot easier for the left to vilify a money guy, a Wall Street guy, an M&A guy. In fact, you could make an argument that he destroyed jobs. I mean, I think it's a false argument, but they did the same thing here in Connecticut in the gubernatorial race when we had a governor who had been involved in mergers and acquisitions, and they focused on some of the companies that he bought up where people were laid off. I'm sure they can do the same thing with what was going on at Bain Capital. I'm sure there are situations where companies were bought, and jobs were let go. And then he's on the defensive explaining that. But you can't make those arguments. I mean, Herman Cain is in the pizza business. I mean, everybody understands that. He's a restaurateur. So he made his living on Main Street, not on Wall Street. Right? Pizza's a lot more popular than investment banking. So I think as far as an entrepreneur or a businessman, he's got a better background. And I think it'd be a great race to see him run against Obama. Certainly, it would be a difficult one. It's going to be harder for the left to try to paint the Republicans as a bunch of racists because they don't want to vote for Barack Obama. I mean, how could you say that if they're voting for somebody who's blacker than Obama? So it really would be interesting to just cut the legs out from under the left, who likes to constantly play the race card, which is, I think, what they're doing too when they're diminishing Herman Cain's victory, or saying, well, yes, the Republicans couldn't have possibly voted for Herman Cain because they liked him. After all, they're just a bunch of racists in the Republican Party, so they just voted to him to show their disgust, that they're so unhappy with their choices that they decided to vote for Herman Cain en masse as a protest. I mean, that's what's racist, to just assume that people aren't voting for the guy because they like the guy, because they thought he would make a good president. Anyway, I don't know if anybody else wants to comment. Also, I want to talk when we get back from the break about how Saturday Night Live depicts the Republican candidates, because it really is a good insight into the psyche of the left. on how they view these candidates. Anyway, don't go away. We'll be right back. This is Peter Schiff here at SchiffRadio.com.
The Peter Schiff Show.